The UPMC sports medicine experts in Central PA are here to help keep you in the game and improve your quality of life, no matter your age or activity level. Visit upmc.com/Central PA SportsMed to learn more.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Pennsylvania High School Football Report. I'm Brian Linder in the blue room. You can't really see me good. I don't think Megan is going to have the video on this week, but last week I didn't think that either, and she had me, looking all disheveled, as I usually look. Got a face for radio, and unfortunately, we turned it to video.
That's why you're right. That's
Dan Sostek. Dan Sostek is in the middle of one of the greatest football seasons of his life. He texted me just how happy and joyous he is. Actually, Dan and I had, on the professional and college levels, we're texting about how joyless we were with this season of football. Yeah. Dan, it's been a rough one for you, man.
Yeah, I thankfully missed a decent chunk of the Pitt Florida State game this past week. I already had to go over this with Epler.
I think we all just kind of pick at the scabs and the wounds for you.
But I said this another part. I'm going to vent again because I don't have too many opportunities to vent. It's the same. The two teams, the Pitt and the Patriots, they're the same thing. The defenses are pretty good, and they can kind of hang with good teams for a long time. And the offense just passing the ground, defense back out on the field, passing there. It's one of the worst ways to watch football ever. I'd rather, the good thing is the high school football has been pretty fun to watch this year, so it kind of makes up for it a little bit, but it's been miserable.
One of the reasons why none of the other football leagues work, like the XFL and USFL and stuff like that, is quarterback play. You watch
defense, it's easier to find good defensive players than good offensive players.
There's really 8 great quarterbacks on the planet, and everybody else. And there's about 10 mid-level, decent, okay, passable quarterbacks. After you get out of that, even in NFL, guys, when you're watching 2 bad quarterbacks play, the games are just brutal. It's just brutal. So
and then if your offensive line isn't good, then those average quarterbacks instantly become bad quarterbacks, and then it's a vicious cycle. But
yeah, it's
almost over. And I feel like this is penance for getting to watch Tom Brady play for the first 20 years of my life. So
and then you guys are going to fire Bill Belichick after you lose to the Colts, who I appreciate, if you can't tell by the blue, and there's a Colts helmet over there in the back.
Yeah, a German game, so at least we get to wake up 9 a.m. and watch our two listless football teams.
I can't believe you guys are going to fire. You guys are going to fire Bill Belichick. I can't believe it. I don't know what to think about it, man.
Yeah. I'd rather trade him. Somebody's got to give something for him, right? Probably not.
He's 80 years old.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll come coach football in the mid-pen.
That'd be fun. I mean, if any all-time legendary football coach were to say, "I want to coach high school football,"
maybe he'll be a defensive coordinator like McDevitt.
Yeah, he would go to some rural school. He would go to Line Mountain or something. Just to be in the wilderness.
Neatest story ever. It'd be like Dave Kindred. You know Dave Kindred, obviously the great writer who kind of now he just on his own volition after he retired. Basically, he just writes about a girls' high school basketball team in his town. He kind of follows them.
Yeah,
so it's the most fun he's ever had.
Yeah, I mean, for all the flaws about Bill Belichick, I think the one thing is the guy loves football, and I think maybe just going to a place where you just coach football and eat a ham sandwich every day is where he needs to end his career, not coaching on CBS with going against Patrick Mahomes or anything like that.
We've already had our guest on for this week, and we introduced him a little bit, and I kind of bumbled through that interview, so you guys will see that, but we've already interviewed him for the week. But we are into the playoffs. Well, we try to keep these podcasts a little bit evergreen, but when you get into these weeks, it's hard not to talk about what's ahead. And tomorrow we have a big day of football here in Central Pennsylvania. Across the state, we do too. Dan, any thoughts before we head out to the fields tomorrow to check these games out? You know what? We got some good ones locally.
Yeah, we Epp and I went over, our three of our biggest, most anticipated games this week. I think we went Lampeter, Strasburg, East Penn, CD, Central York, and Camp Hill, Trinity, just because a couple rematches, and then East Penn's one of those wild card teams, but to me,
how does
like
Wilson and Cumberland Valley not make that cut?
Yeah, well, if we did 4, I think that was going to be the 4th one. But I was just going to say there are a couple brackets that I really don't have any idea how they're going to shake. I mean, I think in 6A, Mannheim should like on paper they should cruise, but there's something that's giving me a weird vibe that there could be some sort of sneaky team that somehow makes a run, whether it's Central York or Wilson. Like I don't. There's just a weird.
You better be talking about Harrisburg again, man.
Well, I'm saying I think those are the 2 teams that are clearly above everyone else. I'm just getting this weird feeling that there's going to be some funkiness going on in that 6A. But the 6A has been weird all year. We've been saying it all year. It's a weird classification.
I know you felt like at different times, I've talked about the Harrisburg's got just a slight click below what they were. And I see that too, but they are very young.
I want to clarify that my opinion on that is it's just because they're young.
Well,
like
they are such. They're not quite what they have been, but they got a bunch of exciting young guys, and they've gotten better all year.
And I think like they frankly might have more pure talent than Manhattan. But again, like it's so easy to forget how young Harrisburg is because a lot of these kids were on the team last year and contributing last year. But like they don't really have. They have hardly any seniors on this team. There's like a couple seniors that are contributing. Most of these guys are juniors and sophomores that are kind of the key players on the team. If they were to win a district title, I'd be terrified of what they're going to look like next year, because then next year I think would be this good. But I mean 6A and then 5A. Eric, I was also talking about this off the air. 5A is just like 8 teams that are all like 8-2, 9-1. They all just seem so similar. There's then obviously we have 4A, which I think is kind of the little bit of the party dampener. I think we all know what's going to happen there most likely. But 6A and 5A are to me are super intriguing, just because I think there's a lot of really evenly matched teams out there.
I'm still Evan Wheaton, who we brought in, is got me convinced that Pope John Paul is going to be a tough out for Bishop McDevitt. I think Bishop McDevitt's going to win it, but if we get to that game and they end up playing, and like I said, I haven't even looked at the brackets. It's what he's telling me. I'm excited to see that. I'll tell you one thing that kind of scares me. We're bringing it back. I know we got statewide listeners, but kind of here to Central Pennsylvania at the moment. I think Steel High is going to win the Class A state championship again. Okay. Also, though, I mean, they won a District 3 title last week. They played Halifax, which all credit in the world to Halifax. Those kids played their hearts out. I think they won 3 or 4 games this year, which was, they had a couple years that were just winless and where they just got to play.
And they made Alex Irby have to come back in the game, which I think is always I'm
not sure he really had to come back into the game, but Halifax is not really remotely on that level of Steel High, and it's no disrespect to them. It's just a fact. And then this week they're going to get Belmont Charter, which is also not really a good team. I'm kind of worried a little bit with them being such a good team. They're starting off the playoffs here playing 2, really bad football teams. I mean, I hate to say that about kids, but Belmont Charter's got 3 wins, Dan?
Yeah, well, this is the thing that we talk about with McDevitt too, right? It's McDevitt and Steel High. It's always the question. It's why they play those tough teams early on in the season, right? It's so that they're not going in completely cold turkey. But it's an adjustment, right? You're going from teams that you're up 45-0 at halftime against versus teams that's going to be a grind to, score 28 points. And the good thing for both those teams is they have quarterbacks who have been there, done that, who have experienced this kind of jump in competition before, who can kind of, rally the troops and tell them, hey man, this isn't going to be like those November, October games. But
I do get worried when I see though, when a team starts off like that, especially back-to-back weeks where they play a team which theoretically or really can't punch them back, and they're gonna hit a team that's going to be able to punch back at least a little bit on the road to the state championship. And
I want to see that Bishop Canavan game. I've said that for a while.
It's easy sometimes for teams when they're cruising like that against teams that can't punch back in the playoffs, and then they find out one that can knock them in the mouth a little bit to get stunned. And
I forget who I forget who it was with Why missing last year, but I think it was pre-West Perry game. I'm blanking on which team it was in the state in the district playoff games. Gave Why missing a really tough game. I think it was an overtime
Yeah.
field goal.
I'm blanking too, but it might have been, was it Gretti? It was Gretti, right?
No, but I think it was in the district playoffs. But it can definitely just have like
I'm probably wrong, but yeah, I know exactly.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're saying. Now, another thing with Steel High, I think is really a good credit to them is they have so many kids. Jayon Perry, who is out there as an athlete. Cam Chisholm, who just got his first offer this week. Congratulations to him. I'm supposed to write that up for 2 days now. I got some comments from him, but he got an offer. But he actually wasn't part of that freshman group that won a state title over Jeanette. They with Jayon was there, Amari Williams was there, Alex, Andrew. They've got a group that's been going to state championships since they were freshmen. So they are a veteran group. So I do think they will.
It was Danville. Danville.
Yeah.
Why missing 21, Danville 19 last year. They almost lost to Danville in that opener because they kind of cruised through the 3A brackets. That stuff can happen because there's sometimes you get a opening PIA matchup where it's actually a downgrade in competition. I think that sometimes happens, with the 6A teams because the 6A is usually pretty loaded. But on the lower levels in District 3, you can sometimes jump in, be going against a really good football team that you're not ready for.
The playoffs starting tomorrow night. We're recording this on a Thursday, guys. Check out PennLive.com. Our picks and predictions are up. I'm going to have a few things up in the morning. We got a big weekend, too, coming up again, especially here in central Pennsylvania. We had 7 state champions from the Mid-Penn last year. We got a lot of soccer teams still in it, boys and girls. We got field hockey.
Big soccer teams.
Field hockey. We got the number 1 soccer team in the nation, Central Dolphins. Shout out to them. Is really doing well in girls soccer. Some really good field hockey teams. So we're going to be out all weekend doing that stuff. I think Dan's planning to go to Altoona. Dan, that's what I was going to talk to you about yesterday. I'll get with you here. We got a meeting coming up. But so we got a lot going on at PennLive.com. Check it out, guys. Now we're going to get into our guest for this week. And here we go.
The UPMC sports medicine experts in Central PA are here to help keep you in the game and improve your quality of life, no matter your age or activity level. Visit upmc.com/Central PA SportsMed to learn more.
So our guest, Dan, this week, West Perry's Ian Goodling and quarterback Marcus Quaker. Guys, we're right here in the heart of playoffs, man. You guys are playing Lancaster Catholic Friday?
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one.
Man, you guys got to be like fired up. Come on, Quaker. I know you're ready to go, man. Hey, these guys are tough. Look, they got a good running back. Yeah. They got a couple good athletes. This is not.
Yeah, they got a big front on them too.
Yeah. This is not a look. You guys have had a great run, and I think you guys can maybe even win a district title. But this is not an easy game.
And I think I don't know about you guys, but for me, if I'm going into this situation, the scariest thing for me is I know you guys probably feel like this if the roles were reversed, but going into a game against a team that ended your season a year ago, you probably know you're gonna be getting their best shot from them. Is that going into the calculus all knowing that they're probably coming out for revenge, remembering what happened last year when you guys beat them pretty good last year. So
yeah, I definitely think like last year, I think we kind of caught them by surprise, and I think that was like a big factor. And I definitely think it's gonna be more ready for us this year, and it's gonna be a lot tougher game.
Quaker, what are you thinking, man? Look, Quaker texts me from time to time, and I'm not gonna say what he's been texting me, but I know you got thoughts, man. And I don't want you to put them all out there necessarily, but how you feeling going into this one, man?
Yeah. I mean, there's no reason we shouldn't feel confident in what we can do. I mean, we've done everything that, we've thrown everything out on the table, and when we fire on all cylinders, it's like night and day. So last week, man, that was hard to play, but it was like hard to watch on film too. Like we just made so many stupid mistakes, and like we can't do that. Like the fact that we put up 40 points on Bermudian Springs and played so bad, is a good thing that we put up that many points, but we cannot play like that. That was definitely our worst game of the year.
Yeah, I think you guys had around 10 penalties or something, and I think I talked with Coach after. He said, it's good that we survived it, and it's good that we can learn from it, right? Because you make those penalties deeper in the playoffs. You go from a 2nd and 10 to 2nd and 15 on a false start or something like that. That could be the difference between 7 points and a 7-point game, right? So, are those the type of things that as seniors, you guys have kind of learned about the margins in the playoffs and just how much tighter it gets when you get further along?
Yeah, like you definitely can't take anything for granted through playoff season. Like anything can happen at that point. It doesn't matter if you're going against like whoever you're going against first round, no matter what. Like anybody could take it.
One of my takeaways from that game, though, one of the positives, I mean, everyone knows Caleb Gutshall's been such a big part of your defense, and he's been out for a couple weeks now. But Jansen Hockenberry Falk really stepped up last week. Can you talk about just him and some of the guys that have stepped up in place of Caleb? Because I think he's you guys one of your leading tacklers, one of your leading sack guys on the D line, and obviously contributed on as a running back as well. But guys like Jensen and the linebackers have really kind of made a difference in that regard.
Yeah, I would say losing Caleb is detrimental, especially to our defense. Like on the offensive side, we can pound the ball with, we have 3 or 4 other guys that'll pound the ball, but on defense, it's like detrimental. And but as far as like Jensen goes, Jensen, he's so smart. Like as soon as the team lines up in a formation, he knows exactly like what they're gonna run. So I think because he has an advantage over like the, I would say being smart in the game, that's the biggest edge. Like he's not like huge, but he plays with a fire in him, and he's so intelligent. Like he knows exactly what he has to do, and he capitalizes almost every time.
You guys are coming, no matter when this thing ends, if it ends in Cumberland Valley for you guys, you're coming down to the last couple of weeks with a good group that's been playing together for a long time. There was a picture of you and Ian when you were like 4, I think you posted, or 6 or something like that. You were young guys.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have been playing together forever. You're down to your last few weeks playing no matter what. Have you put that in perspective? What's that like to be in your shoes knowing that, this is one of the best times of your life, but it's going to come to a close, whether it's you guys get a ring or whatever, in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I just haven't really thought about the end yet. Just been trying to take every moment that we've been together, just keep those going instead of thinking about when it's going to end.
Yeah, I agree with Ian. I haven't really felt that like, man, it's over yet. But I think that's something that's got to be the number one priority going into Friday night. Like, the guys have to understand that, we're not just playing for another game. Like we're playing for one more game, and it's win or go home. So I think we have to really kind of engrave that in our teammates' heads, like especially the seniors, like guys, like it's everything you have from here on out. Like you give it everything you possibly have because you have to have the mentality. And honestly, like that's what separates us from a lot of teams is like we can get into battles and just grind it out. Like with Steel High, we kept it close for like a long time. Got in the red zone 6 times. That's 42 unanswered points that we didn't capitalize on.
I mean, the Trinity game was basically you guys just figuring out a way to win a football game, right? Like
our guys just battle. Like that's just kind of like Perry County football, or our D coordinator. He's always like, you guys need to play Cole Region football. So he's kind of like just that mentality of like, we're kind of out in the country here, and like we're not about the fashion and stuff. We just play hard nosed football.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to kind of ask next was. You guys have kind of worn that on your sleeve, right? Representing Perry County, representing Elliotsburg, not being a team of basically just a bunch of the kids that grew up in town, right? And without getting into the recruiting stuff or things like that, that's not the case everywhere. And just how much pride have you guys taken in kind of the success you guys have had? I think you guys have set a record for most wins of any Perry County team over a 2-year span. You set all those records last year as well. Just kind of representing for the area with kind of making do with what you guys have and proving that that's enough.
It's pretty cool. Like, cause like you get like your like local restaurants and stuff that are like around, and like you walk in, there's like, oh hey, like you guys are football guys or like whatever. There's like you guys are doing awesome stuff. Or they even watch a game of football or not, like it just gets the word around.
You lost to Steel High twice, YO once across 2 years. There's a lot of teams in Pennsylvania who are not as insulated as Perry County, you guys in Perry County, who would love to only have 3 losses to teams of that level. What has made this group so special coming up together through the years and stuff like that to be able to finish out the way you guys have finished out the last year?
I think it is just that, like, we've came up with each other since like we were 7, 8 years old, just pushing each other, working hard with each other, working out together, just keeping that tight bond that like allows us to just, even like the tough moments, that allows us to stick together and like play tough.
What you guys say, Quaker? Come on.
No, I think playing with the guys that, like Ian said, we grew up with, like, it's literally the same group that we played with since we were like Smurfs and Peewees. So it's kind of nice because we've been running the same system the whole way through. Now at the high school level, it gets a lot more complex. You have to understand a lot of more formations and stuff and where to line up. But just playing with each other, until now, like, we're all seniors, and it's just like that one last moment of like, hey, like, this is going to be like the last time we're on the same field with each other. Like, whether some of us go to college or not, it's like the last time that we're representing the green and white. And I think playing with each other for so long is just something that's been engraved in us the whole time.
I got one for you, Marcus. You've now got a couple college opportunities. We've talked about Ian a lot on this podcast. The man's got like, I don't know, 100 tackles every year, and he kicks like 56 extra points and like 10 field goals, one, with like a long of 42 or something. And I'm just spitballing here. He has like 70 catches. He does everything. He never comes up the field. How does this man not have a college shot yet, man? What do you think about that?
It makes me so angry because unfortunately everything nowadays is on like Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, or like social media. So like you have to like almost put yourself out there a lot. So like it's hard to see. Like he led the mid-pen in receiving yards, receiving touchdowns last year, like everything. And how does a kid that leads, like, and in my opinion, Ian was the best wide receiver in the mid-pen. Like, I know they got kids from McDevitt and stuff, but like, I don't understand how coaches don't see that. And I think part of it is like social media. Like, if you don't put yourself out there a lot, it's really hard to get noticed. And I think people overlook a small, class 3A in Perry County. Like, they're probably like, oh, these kids are just a bunch of country kids. But at the end of the day, like, the guy, just look at the guy's stats alone. Like, look at his huddle tape. Like, trust me, it infuriates me that he doesn't even have an offer, because
he's going against guys like Emil Way who have Division I offers at Trinity and Steel High kids as well. I mean, my argument has been, though, for a while, I said, even if you're not going to give Ian an offer wide receiver, not give him an offer a linebacker, wouldn't you want a kicker that could lay out a kick returner on a you want a kicker that's willing to go full hit stick on kick return? I mean, you'd think there'd at least be a room for that, right? I think there'd be plenty, but I mean, we've said it for a while, though. Ian's probably one of the more versatile guys that we have in the mid pen, and it just feels like an oversight, honestly. And I'm sure we also, nothing we say a lot on this podcast is guys, good players, they figure out ways to, they'll find a spot and make it work.
Do you have like a preferred position or anything, Ian, at the next level?
I mean, I prefer to play defense, and then I guess probably defense, offense, and then kicking.
Yeah,
just because kicking's not as fun as hitting people.
Yeah,
and hitting people, like, that's like where it's at.
Well, you could be like, did you see the Texans running back this week? They ran out of kickers, and they asked. Apparently, it asked preseason anybody kick, and the kid said I kicked in high school. He got to kick an extra point. So
I did see that.
Yeah,
like defense. So you think you're a linebacker or safety, or where do you fit in there? You think next level?
I mean, probably like a strong safety that can like probably cover and roll down the box if like you had to.
Your grades are pretty good too, right? College coaches, come on, man, you got to give this guy a look. Things have changed so much, guys. I go back and forth about the portal and how that stuff is, and like, I think a lot of kids have to make tough decisions when they're like 16 years old, big life changing decisions. So I'm all about them being able to transfer, but I do think we've seen where a guy like you, I think, would have probably had an offer, or multiple offers by now if it would have been 6 years ago. So just be patient. It's going to come. Non-football question real quick for you guys. What's up with the cell service in Perry County? Dan goes out there. You got any advice for him about getting cell phone?
I'm literally trying to text Brian during every game I cover, but the text can't get through. I'm like saying, Brian, I have to drive to the local Sheets because I can't get.
For our listeners across Pennsylvania, I think Perry County is the dead hole of cell service, and you guys are out in the mountains or whatever, and there's all my guys go out there and they're like, I can't, I got to send up smoke signals, I can't.
What provider do you have? Like, do you have AT&T?
I have AT&T, which I've heard is the worst.
That's why.
Yeah.
Problem. That's your problem. I know AT&T is good for like, over the mountain stuff, but Verizon is pretty darn good in Perry County.
Yeah, that's what I've been told. That's what I've tried to tell Brian, but he won't listen.
Listen, if you have Verizon and you're at the school, you're getting full service. Like, it's quick, good. But I know all of my friends who have AT&T. Yeah, the service is awful in Perry County for AT&T.
Yeah, well, maybe we can get a Verizon sponsorship for the pod this week or something.
Yeah,
we wanted to get you guys on here. Like I said, Marcus and I texted a good bit about the season and how things are going on. But for our listeners around the state, West Perry's like we said, it's out in Perry County, down here near the center of the state, Harrisburg. Not the biggest place, but man, they've had some lean years. You guys, your first couple of years you guys were getting beat up pretty good, right? What were the first 2 years like, real quick?
Our freshman year, I think we went 2-5 maybe, and then sophomore year we went 4-6 maybe. I think
you guys played Middletown in the playoffs, right?
You guys were pushing them out pretty good. So it's a really good story of a group where they don't have a lot of. You guys don't have. Do you guys have any transfers that have come in?
No
transfers.
Maybe. I think we got like a kid from New York this year, but he came in like halfway through the season, so he hasn't even been able to like play or anything yet. Like he'll be playing next year.
It's different in 2023. Some of your powerhouses in Pennsylvania, we know that they get transfers, and that's what it is. But these guys, they started out not very good, and they've ended up really, really good. Trying to win a district championship.
I've got a quick question though before we go. Obviously, Bob Bowden's been a great coach. I think I believe he was our coach of the year last year, our PennLive coach of the year last year for the job he did. But I've got a question: as seniors, have you guys seen any footage of him in his wrestling career, his professional wrestling career? Have you guys gotten to see any glimpses of? Because that stuff's pretty legendary around the PennLive. That's the first thing Brian tells any new reporter when we're talking about Bob Bowden. Is that he used to be a professional wrestler. We've been trying to get him to do it at our media days or something. And have you guys seen Bob? Have you seen Coach Bowden? In his alter ego.
Yeah, we have, because we play with his son, and so he has like some of like the throwback pictures, and he'll send them to our. We have a football group chat. He'll send them in there every once in a while.
After a big win, just him body slamming his opponent.
Bob Bowden is not the guy like when you meet him. He's like the nicest guy in the world. You wouldn't think that he was like a professional wrestler or whatever. So
he is. Yeah, Coach Bowden's like, he'll get on us like when it's needed, but like he's like he's like super like down to earth and stuff. But like he's just like so outgoing and like such good for our team and stuff. Like I think him being in the head coaching position is probably like the best spot for him, just because he leads our team well. He's always positive with us, gets on us whenever we mess up. But he's such a good role model and good person for our program.
Well, you guys are a good story, man. Ian, you're gonna find your shot. Marcus, you just got another opportunity too, right? I think it's more on the academic end, but you're going to get some athletic opportunities. Maybe who did you just get something from?
So Robert Morris, they just gave me a 4-year merit scholarship for $60,000, and then I'm supposed to go. I think it's out towards Pittsburgh, so I'm supposed to go there. I think November 18th, I'm supposed to go down to Robert Morris, and go and watch one of their games. Their head coach emailed me and wants me to come down wherever it'll take me, but all part of God's plan.
Robert Morris' quarterback is Anthony Chickett, and I have a pretty good relationship with him. He had a bone marrow transplant. He had a stem cell transplant. He has an amazing story.
Yes.
I wrote about it last year, but guys, if you haven't seen that, Anthony Chickett, he had Hodgkin's lymphoma like I did. He reached out to me. He was actually having it behind me. He ended up having a stem cell transplant, and he's actually playing quarterback for him out there. So, man, you'll get your opportunities too. I know you got something for Penn too. You're looking at maybe. Great story, guys, for our listeners around the state. West Perry football is a great story, a homegrown program who's trying to get it done this year, trying to win that District 3 title with a lot of guys who are seniors, been playing together forever. Guys, we're so happy to have you on. Appreciate you. Well, Dan, that was Marcus Quaker, the quarterback for the West Perry Mustangs. Ian Goodling, athlete. And when we say athlete, guys, we mean multiple positions. And when we mean multiple positions, this guy can play linebacker, he can play safety, he can kick. He had 70-something catches last year. His stats are crazy. I mean, in all categories. I mean, he's like 100 tackle, 70 catch, 56 extra point, 10 field goal guy in high school. College coaches, you got to go check him out. Dan, what do you think about these kids, their story in this West Perry football program?
We've been saying it for years, right? Like they're the type of team that you get movies about, right? Like they're kind of like that setting for a high school football movie in the 80s, where it's just a bunch of kids who they kind of Ian kind of set the scene there, right? Where he talks about walking in the diner and everyone recognizes them and tells them good luck this week again, against Lancaster Catholic or whatever. It's just it's kind of what if you looked up in the dictionary high school football, it's West Perry football. And this specific group, they're just a bunch of really good kids and really fun to watch too when they're clicking that off. Marcus Quaker just we didn't really even get into it too much, but just the way he runs is so electric. He looks like the fastest guy in the field, even when I don't always think he necessarily is. But I think it's just kind of the decisiveness of which he plays. They're just a bunch of winners, and I think it's good that we detailed how they going from where they started as freshmen to where they are now. It's been a fun ride.
Marcus is a good young man. He and I have actually texted a lot throughout the week, and a couple times a week, and over the last year or so, and he's a really good athlete. He and I talked about it when he got the opportunity from Penn. He's not your prototypically sized quarterback. He's like 5'10", 180, something like that. But he's quick. He's a gamer, man. He's scrappy. He's smart. It's good kids out there at West Perry, man. And like you said, this is a real throwback type of program where you see all these other programs and it's just, we're not knocking them. It's the way of the world in 2023 where kids move around and shuffle in and shuffle out. These kids are sort of on an island up in those mountains and there's not a lot of people moving to Perry County to play football, but the people that are there are pretty good at it, have been, and they paid their dues, Dan. They really did get beat up pretty good as freshmen and sophomores, and here they are. So it's a feel-good story. They have some good programs in front of them. I think Lancaster Catholic's going to be very tough for them this year. I just got a feeling, but I know they're confident.
They're going on the road, so it's not as easy when I have always said that they've got a really good home field advantage. They've got a great fan base up there in Elliotsburg. They really care about their football there. So going on the road is always tough.
So we wanted to share their story a little bit, guys, because again, they're not one of the schools that gets a ton of the headlines around the state of Pennsylvania, but they are one of the schools that have had one of the better 2-year runs in Pennsylvania. They're trying to finish it strong. Dan, I think we got a podcast. What do you think, Dan? Any final thoughts? What have we learned today?
I think we learned that Bill Belichick's going to be taking a job at Line Mountain in a couple weeks.
What's our food tip of the week, our food experience of the week? We always drop something on people.
I went to Cornerstone Coffee and got a carrot cake muffin. It was pretty good. So,
what kind of coffee did you get, Dan? Dan and I've had this thing where
I got breakfast blend. This is an attack on my character that I drink flavored coffee.
Flavored coffees. I said I like coffee in my look right now. Bulletproof. What does that say? Cold brew black. I mean, black, Dan. Motor oil.
I think that you have been misrepresenting consistently what flavored coffee. I'm not getting.
I'm like the size of the Kool-Aid man, and when I drink this, I can run through the wall like the Kool-Aid man.
My coffee is just whatever Cornerstone Coffee's brewing. That's where I go.
Dan texts me. I got Snickerdoodle, rainbow unicorn frosted sprinkled coffee this week.
I'm drinking breakfast blend. That's all.
Well, I'm proud of you. That's closer to the real thing, Dan.
we can discuss this off air, but I don't think you understand.
How was the muffin? Go real quick. The muffin.
It's pretty good. We're not on camera right now, but
What was it? What was it again? What muffin did you?
Carrot cake with some cream cheese filling. It was pretty good.
So out of the score to 10, how are you rating Cornerstone Coffee House this week?
8.5. Really good showing.
Wow.
Good showing. That they always deliver.
All right, guys. I think we got a podcast. PennLive.com. Check us out. Check me out on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Elon Musk deal at Sports by B Linder. Dan, how do they find you on social?
Dan_SOSTEK.
Check out Dan. We'll be at games and stuff all through the week. We'll be here all through the playoffs. And again, check out what we got on the website. Until next time, see you guys later.
The UPMC sports medicine experts in Central PA are here to help keep you in the game and improve your quality of life, no matter your age or activity level. Visit upmc.com/Central PA SportsMed to learn more.